Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Um, my name is Krista Anandakuten. Please call me Krista. I am the liaison librarian for public health and optometry as well. And this is just I'm happy to meet all of you. It's a great opportunity to meet you and answer any questions you might have that arise as you are doing research. And I'll just mention that goals for today. Um, just learning about the library, maybe reconnecting with something that you might find useful this semester. Resources that are available to you, strategies to find literature and other relevant information, and also how to organize, save and cite what you find. So this information will be useful, you know, now and beyond, after when you're in your careers. Um, so I'll start with just some library highlights for OOMP students. And this is really, I think this is informal. Please get my attention either in chat. I'll try to keep an eye on chat, but Julie, maybe if you see anything in chat that I'm not responding to,
Yeah, absolutely.
great. And or just unmute yourself and get my attention. However, I'm happy to repeat or slow down. Half of what we're doing online here is navigation, right? So there's no point keeping quiet if you're, not able to navigate along. I'm going to share my screen. But how are you doing so far? I just wanted to check in with you, and I will share my screen, and you will recognize the homepage of the library. I don't know if you had a chance when you were on campus to come into any one of the many libraries here on campus, but this is our digital library, our homepage. Um, Simple search bar, articles, books, and more, as it says. I'm not going to go into searching the catalog because I know, you know, we'll be looking at, PubMed databases that are useful for you, but you can navigate to any of these things from the homepage. I want to share this link with you. This is our library research guide we have many research guides and this may be repetition. You probably heard this in earlier in the year. But this is kind of the list of all of these research guides for different courses. And
Chris,
then
can I
here,
stop you for a second? So sorry to
certainly.
interrupt. I just
Mhm.
want to let you know that most of the students here tonight are in their first semester with the program.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. I was a little confused. Um, Excellent. So this is perfect timing. You haven't seen this before. I take it back. Um, Let me introduce you to the amazing list of library guides. These have been curated by previous public health librarians, so I am just bringing it to you tonight. And first place to start, 10 library. I'll leave it to you to open them and um, explore them. I put the link in chat to the kind of the library guide to the library guides, if you will. So if I click here, 10 things to know, it begins with how to access things from off campus. So really key how to, um, hopefully, like when I am off campus, I just use set up the VPN. It's worth the minutes that it takes me to do that because then it's a sure thing. But then there's the library proxy link. But please click on this link if you need any guidance on that, and contact me or a librarian if you're having any trouble with that first step. Um, and then the next thing I want to highlight is the databases, right? This is where you would go when you are ready to start searching for those resources, whether it's peer review articles or other resources. So I'm going to click there briefly. Again, I won't read you the LibGuides, but just to kind of highlight a few, is the box number 2. Which databases would you use for public health topics? Now, health topics, PubMed, public health topics, as you know so well, it's just it could be many different disciplines coming in. So it's going to depend on your specific research topics, which are the recommended databases. But anything about health, definitely be looking at PubMed, Embase. For anything mental health, behavioral health, take a look at PsycInfo. Some of these titles are very self-explanatory. Environmental science, business, Web of Science, and Scopus are really wonderful for multidisciplinary topics. If you have, some intersection of subjects like health, yes, but then also policy or, you know, social aspects as well. So it's just a starting point. There's a link here at the top where you would see there are, many, many more. This is a much more extensive kind of standalone guide to, a topical. I leave it to you. Just showing it to you, and please contact me if you have any trouble or would just like to check in with the librarian about which databases you're selecting for your research. It's good to choose more than one, pardon me, because um, you could be missing some important literature if you're just searching in one. So it's good to search 2 to 3, and there will most likely be overlap between them, but that's all right. There might be some unique content. Okay, so these are 10 things, the 10 library things for public health students. And now I'm going to return to the library guide to the library guides. So that was the first. Um, if you have questions, so for troubleshooting, this link takes you to really, it's a document, Google Doc, just some FAQs, common questions and answers, and links to help. If you have questions, take a look at the FAQs. And if that doesn't resolve it for you, please do get in touch with me and I will share my email. It's also on the LibGuides. And you might have noticed this as you're on the library website, this chat widget follows you around and very helpfully will offer um, chatting with a librarian. And that is reaching a human librarian. It is not AI. It is not a bot. It is during work hours. You will most likely be, um, chatting with the librarian at UC Berkeley. And otherwise, we have a co-op where you will be chatting with the librarian maybe in a different time zone. So the Public Health Research Guide has numerous tabs. I just wanted to point out that this is one that has my contact information on it. So email me, obviously, but scheduling an appointment, I'll just click on that to show you. We'd select virtual, and there you can see availability. And please reach out to me by email if the times that are listed here do not work for you, we can make something work. And that would be for, a specific research strategy or something you need help with, troubleshooting, anything like that, just like a 30-minute Zoom. So that's available to you all semester. Um, Turning to this. So for after, when you're no longer a student, this is a common question. What's available to you as alumni? So you would have less access. You would not have access to all of the databases, but there are many. This guide is great to connect you with what is available to you. By the way, all of the research guides are openly accessible online. That's true for actually for most libraries, academic libraries. And that might answer questions you might have. And then this is search help, searching more effectively. And I hope you find that useful. Great. Surprisingly, there were two more links here earlier today, and I'm missing them. So I need to find the link that I wanted to share later, but that's fine. So we have a guide for different courses you can find under these different, you know, concentration headings. They have a separate box, but you might have a LibGuide that a research guide for your specific course as well. Um, any questions about how to contact me at all during this semester? Great. Well, I hope you bookmark this. I believe it's available to you through your course um, interface. The link to this guide should be there, and I hope it's useful to you. And how about we dive in and start talking about your actual research question? I think if you don't have questions about the research guides, and where you would go for answering questions about how to access, how to log in, things like that, kind of nuts and bolts. Shall I move on?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. Okay. All right. So thinking about your research question, it is your starting point. You would, once you have your research question, you can then begin to think about how to search for those articles. So I want to share. Did I stop sharing? Yes. Okay, great. Okay. So I just navigated. You didn't need to follow along. That's fine. I just wanted to grab this set of steps, kind of how to go from a research question to terms that we could then take to a database, right? So here, the big picture, research question, kind of exploding it apart into those main ideas, the keywords, and what we call subject headings to take then into the database. So here is a basic question to just get us started, quite broad. If this was a student's research topic, I would be suggesting you kind of get a little more specific with things, but we'll use it for this example. So our question, how can public health interventions address food insecurity? and reduce the incidence of chronic diseases, such as obesity and diabetes in vulnerable populations. So breaking it apart, concept 1, public health interventions. Concept 2, food insecurity. Concept 3, chronic disease, such as obesity, diabetes. And then concept 4, vulnerable populations. If we just searched in a database with these terms, we would probably find some articles, correct? But we might be missing articles just because the terms don't exactly match what was used by the authors. So we can improve on this. So step 2, finding other words to describe the main ideas. We're going to add words with the same meaning. Think synonyms, acronyms, maybe a different spelling. And also words with similar meanings, alternative terms, related terms. So for that first concept, getting more specific with what kind of interventions is a good approach. So maybe policy or programs. Those are not equal to each other, but interventions is such a broad term. We can get more specific. Concept 2, food insecurity. A related phrase would be access to healthy foods, food deserts. For concept 3, in addition to those terms, the more medical term for diabetes. And then for concept 4, vulnerable populations, could go in different directions, but underserved populations, health, disparate, minority, and underserved populations. Did I come up with that out of my head? Absolutely not. That would come from articles that I had been reading. That would also come from in the database itself. And I'll show you how to discover some preferred terms to kind of add to the terms that you start with. We're not replacing them. And then putting them together, combine with the Boolean operators and an or. We combine different concepts with and we are combining the similar keywords with or. So that concept 1, I'm actually breaking it apart. Again, public health separate from interventions. So public health and interventions or policy or programs. And food insecurity or access to healthy foods or food deserts. And concept 3, you get the idea. Any questions about Boolean operators and or? Okay. Step 4. Now that we have our terms and Boolean operators, we also want to put things into, using the database commands, the syntax that the databases will recognize. Truncation is a wonderful kind of shortcut. That's the asterisk. You use it at the end of the root of a word, and that would retrieve different forms of that word. In this example, compute. Right after the T, if you put the asterisk, it would retrieve the variations on that root. So computer, compute, computational, etc. The other way to go about it is to list all of those words, computer or compute or computational. So you see what a shortcut it is to use the star. That works. That's recognized by most databases. Next, favorite command here is the quotation marks. In the example here, blood pressure. That's an exact phrase. We really mean blood pressure. If we just enter blood pressure without those quotation marks, we would retrieve articles about blood, we would retrieve articles about pressure, but we don't want those. We want blood pressure. Use those quotation marks. And then parentheses. This is how we similar to math, when we have order of operations, it groups your similar terms together. So we have blood pressure, or BP, enclosed in parentheses. And the next concept in parentheses, exercise or physical activity. And then this is kind of getting ahead. We'll talk about subject headings in PubMed briefly in just a moment, but using the database index terms, the controlled vocabulary, is a great way to get articles on the topic. So this example is, you don't have to memorize this, but there's a way to add in any database their subject headings. This example comes from PubMed. So the medical subject headings is called MESH. And searching in specific fields is a great strategy to narrow things down. If you're getting hundreds of articles and you would like to get, the main idea, if these terms appear in the title or abstract, is one way to narrow down, to focus your results. This example is again from PubMed, obesity in quotation marks, and then the brackets, title/abstract. You don't have to memorize this. They have ways, the drop-down menu will fill in the syntax for you, but I just wanted to introduce it here. So putting it together, this is the last step, step 5, creating a search string. Method 1, some databases have separate fields for each concept, which can be helpful. That's one way you can build your, add fields as needed. If that method 2, same results will come up, just entering it all in a single field with those parentheses, so the parentheses around each concept. So this single search string comes from our original research question. Public health, intervention, food insecurity, and a number of terms, chronic disease, and a number of other terms, vulnerable populations. That's just putting it all together. This could be used in a single field, and it would work in Google Scholar. So I suggest if you like to use Google Scholar, use it last after you've developed and optimized this amazing search in the databases using the controlled vocabularies and kind of learning about your topic. You can copy paste this, your last stop could be Google Scholar. That would work. So that's an overview of search strategy. If you have any questions, please let me know, because our next stop will be actually going to PubMed. Great.
There was one question about whether the slides would be available to the student.
Oh, certainly. I can also show you where I posted it. So
Oh, great. Thank you.
thanks for the question. I will grab it. There we go. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. And just to back up and answer that question, Where did it go? There it is. Okay. So this was from where we started. Here. So I'll show you how to navigate there, but I could also just share the link with you. Um, this one, Public Health Research Guide. I'll share the link after I navigate there. It's under tips and tutorials. Search strategy in 5 steps. Yeah, I hope you find that useful. I'll just pop it in chat.
So,
Okay.
Krista, whenever you're ready, we have a couple of questions.
Okay, great. I'm ready.
Okay, so we have one question that is, my question is about off-campus access. I live in Uganda and can't seem to get the activation code to my phone for VPN. This is the first time I'm accessing an online library.
Okay. So you haven't been able to get the activation code for VPN. This might be a good example of a time to reach out to let me get I will find the contact in let me see if that was in the FAQs. There might be a link right there to IT, library IT, I should say. I'm getting familiar with the FAQs myself. Did I miss it? It was not the first question. Okay. So the workaround, you might, I'm not suggesting that you, I mean, I do suggest you follow up and try to get that VPN working, and I will find that link. I will get that contact information um, before we part. But this library proxy is another way to go about it. So as you find an article that you do want access to or something that is requiring you to log in, you can use this browser bookmarklet. So if you click here, there are instructions for you. And then that would just sit there in your browser, and that's convenient too. And I hope that would be not instead of the VPN, but just another way. Um, sorry, it's a number of steps. I hope that resolves it.
And then we have a second question.
Okay.
Where do you learn about the different syntaxes for the different databases? For example, PubMed will be different from Cochrane database, which is different from Embase.
The syntax um, for the different searches, what I shared with you, the asterisk, the quotation marks, the parentheses, that will be recognized across the databases. The more specific, to PubMed, the subject headings, for example, the slight differences like that, you can use the kind of the search tools, the drop down menu it will fill it in for you. It's often just whether it's a dash or it's just very slight differences, but then they are consistent. So as you use the PubMed and Embase, for example, you can see you'll get familiar, and you could type it in, but I do recommend you always using a drop down, selecting the field rather than having to type in and where you might make an error, if that makes sense. But I believe familiarity just comes from use. Trying to find the other, there we go. This is a link to PubMed if you're following along. I'll put it in chat. And you'll see that it's a little different than just if you were to go there, uh, if you Google PubMed, anyone can access PubMed. It's wonderful. But this has the UC Berkeley Library kind of section here. So that's what's wonderful about that is when you do discover an article, you would see that link back to the UC Berkeley Library, so you can get access to that library. To access to that article without being prompted to pay. So that's the link I use, and I shared it with you. So please follow along, or just watch my screen or navigate along with me, however whichever works for you. The landing page here is the basic search. So this is the single search field, no syntax. Please don't bring your Boolean operators here. It will ignore them. And advanced is one click away. That's the advanced. This, again, this is an example. This is the drop down or dropping up now menu where you can select which fields to search in. By default, it's searching all fields. Title abstract is this one. I can enter my search term. We don't even need quotation marks because it's a single word. And then I'm going to add it. So it's coming up right there. It filled in to answer that previous question. It's filling it in for me. I didn't have to watch, did I have a space in there accidentally or anything. The difference between basic search and advanced search. Basic search, again, without the syntax. So you just don't have control. It's like the spaghetti on the wall, if you will. It's exploding those terms. If I had put in blood pressure, it would be retrieving articles about blood. It'd be retrieving articles about pressure, for example. It just breaks everything apart, gives you probably more results, but less focused. So advanced is where you have control. What I want to share, often it's considered advanced mesh, but how many of you have heard the term mesh? It's a great tool. I show it to undergrads. I think everyone should check out mesh. And I'll show you where it is. It's here on the home page, kind of buried here at the bottom in the footer, mesh database. And I'm putting it in chat as well in case you're wanting to bookmark anything. Um, so the landing page here of Mesh, what can we do with it? I'm going to type in high blood pressure. It's not necessarily, it's not a very technical sounding medical term. It's just, high blood pressure. Let's see what Mesh shows us. Again, MESH stands for medical subject headings. Maybe there's a preferred term for high blood pressure. So I'm clicking search. And indeed, I'm discovering the preferred term is hypertension. And this is lovely. A very brief definition of a term, of every term is here. So I'm going to click on the mesh term hypertension, and it takes me to a full page of results of details. Again, the definition here, just below, takes all the mystery out of what does this term mean? Is it really the term I want to use? You can check in with that. You can see subheadings. All of these things are part of this term. I can see these terms are mapped to hypertension. And this here is the tree of terms. This is the index. So everything below hypertension is included. Those are the results. That's how powerful it is that hypertension as an index term will retrieve everything below it. And then you can also learn about it. What's a more general term? What would if hypertension is not exactly what I'm after, is it more general, maybe vascular disease? Now I've learned that cardiovascular disease is more general, so I'm learning about where it is, which is more specific, which is more broad. Maybe I'm really only interested in one of, in pregnancy-induced hypertension, and then I can use that instead of hypertension. But one way to I could add, if I like this as a subject term, subject heading, I can add it to my search. And I see a question. I'll be
So,
just, yes,
so I have
yeah,
sorry for interrupting you.
not at
If
all.
there are some terms that you could, on like hypertension, that could fit in multiple different categories, right? So, higher level terms. So, if you have one of those, and let's say hypertension is considered a vascular disease, and it's also listed under, I don't know, systemic diseases or something. Are all the lower level terms mapped to hy hypertension the same regardless of what higher level term it's under?
You're asking if in this case it's not appearing in any other part of the index. But I have seen,
Yeah, this particular example, it's not. But let's
yeah,
just,
so you're ignoring this particular example. So your
yeah,
question is whether all of these from both of its locations would be mapped.
would be so if you let's just say you have um, lung cancer and
Okay,
it maps to lung diseases and it maps to thoracic diseases.
right.
If you search under lung cancer under search for lung cancer under uh, lung diseases, would you have this retrieve the same set of terms and articles, whatever citations, that you would if you searched for lung cancer under thoracic diseases?
Um, I'm gonna take a look before answering. So I'm going to open up. So your example was lung cancer, correct?
Uh,
Okay.
I'm just making it up. I
Oh,
don't.
okay. I'm sorry. I thought okay. So it is coming up in multiple. It's coming up in three locations in the index. So unless I specify a different term, lung neoplasms could retrieve everything below each of these. So
Mm,
if I
right.
enter if I add it to the search builder, I was going to say this is a quick way to copy and paste that syntax since that was another question someone had. Um, I could add this term to my keywords. Um, unless I specify something more narrow,
Right.
This bronchial neoplasms is not, oh, it is appearing below. Okay. So
Okay. So it
yeah.
looks like in this example, then that whether, whether you look under search under respiratory tract disease, lung diseases, or thoracic neoplasms or lung respiratory tract neoplasms, you will the universe of terms are subsetting to one, but they are different. I see.
Its indexes are imperfect. Yeah, it
Uh,
is
how do you in this case? It looks like if you go back down,
oh sure. Pardon. Yeah.
it looks like the lung neoplasms under uh, thoracic neoplasms has the most complete set of terms under it, right? It's got one. Uh, the others are uh, no, that's not correct because you have small cell lung cancer and lung neoplasm and the second bunch, but you don't have it. So how can you make sure that you've done an all-inclusive, that you haven't missed anything, right? So if I were to search under this thing,
Hmm.
that term that you just had at the top,
Yeah.
I would miss small cell lung cancer.
Well, yes. But I learned that from the page of details. I can add that as well. So I could add, it's suggesting to try to
Okay.
see also. So that's something you've learned. So it's like this is a limited term. This term is not going to include everything. I do want to
Okay. So that's helpful.
move. Yeah. Oh, but thank you for the question. That was a great example of really drilling down to what this page can do for you, finding out what's not included in this term. That's you've learned something. I was going to ask everyone to just take a moment, take 30 seconds or 1 minute to type in a term, something of interest to you. I think the link is there. Yes, I put the link to Mesh. If you would just explore this for a moment, take 30 seconds and find a preferred term for something that you are interested in. And it'd be lovely if a few of you would share in chat maybe what you typed in and what you discovered the preferred term was. I just love to see a few examples if you had tested that out yourself. And I'm watching our time. I'm gonna move on. Did anyone? Oh, I see a few you are leaving already. Thank you for coming. Okay, great. I'm going to grab an article. I want to get to the step where we're actually accessing the article, and there's a little troubleshooting there that I could maybe get into. So, um, okay. So let's say here you have your list of results, your well thought out and optimized search strategy, and you have a list of results. And the results here are sorted by best match. So that's good. Some databases you want to check in. Maybe they're just putting the most recent on top, and you want to make sure it's, by relevance or best match at the top. So that's already happening. You can filter here by date. You can narrow down with the filters. Population is another one that you can use in narrow down in filters. So please try that. You can also narrow the publication date by number of years. Type of studies done. You can select to only see reviews or select only clinical trials. Okay. And then if I'm liking the look of this article, I'm going to click on the title. You can read the abstract. Abstract is your best friend. It tells you everything that the article has to say before you even access full text. So how would I access full text? So I'm clicking this link on the right, that little bit of yellow, get it at UC. That takes you back to the library's record, where you would then see options for how you would access it. So this is requiring me to sign in. Lovely. Let me just stop share. That's funny. It had logged me out. I'm going to log in. Why is it always asking me to log in? Because there's a paywall, excuse me, a paywall. There are subscriptions, and the library needs to know that only students and campus community is accessing these resources. So let me share again. Really quickly, and this is kind of wonderful. The example that I brought up is telling me that it's not available. There's a link to request it by interlibrary loan. Sometimes in a demo, I cannot get this to actually happen. So usually there is a link here to get it online. This actually has a PDF link right there, but it's saying request through interlibrary loan. It pre-fills the form, and you have to click and send that request. What you will get is an email. So you do need to log in for that. And you would get a link to the digital, the digital article in your email. But definitely save it, because that is there's a time limit on that. So don't save that link. You want to actually save the article. And when I say save the article, let me see. I also wanted to show you a great way to save that article. So I'm clicking up in I have an icon here. I'm actually saving it to my citation manager, Zotero. So this icon in my header here, I've actually saved it to my library. And I wanted to really briefly show you, does anyone have Zotero or know what I'm talking about? I wanted to show you how kind of magical it can be. As you're researching, oh, there was a question. I have to follow through with sharing to see.
The question is, do we have access to EndNote? If not, is there a recommended citation manager?
You do have access to EndNote. We do recommend Zotero as a citation manager. It does have more features than just generating a citation. You actually have a library, which I could also pull up. I'll pull it up next. I opened a document. I just wanted to kind of show what EndNote cannot do this for you. I can, as I'm typing here, this is just a placeholder. Let's say I want to add an in-text citation. So I have Zotero here because I've installed Zotero, and I click on Zotero in the header there, and I click add or edit citation. And let's say I remember the author's name, and I'm going to click on the suggested, click enter, and then it's adding the citation there because I had saved that article to my Zotero library, which I'll show you in just a moment. So I can do that numerous times. I already have some pre-filled here, a good number of in-text citations. And this is another time saver is the bibliography. So let's say I had written my paper and with one click, I just generated the bibliography, comes alphabetized, and I had selected APA 7 as the style. You can select any citation style, but definitely proofread anything that is automatically generated. Please do proofread. So that was one thing to show you Zotero. I also wanted to show you if I could find the library. I have just too many tabs. It's like you can organize the library of folders, if you will. So any of the articles that I've gotten full text to, and I click on the icon in my browser, it goes to my library where I tell it to, and I can access it that way. So if I were to request an article, I said, make sure you save it, I would save it to my Zotero library. And so it does more than just, generate citations, but EndNote, you do definitely have access to EndNote. Is it a Google extension? Yes, it is also. You can put it in Chrome. It works in Google Docs. I'm glad Interlibrary Loan is working. That's nice to hear, Julie. It does. There are humans involved, but it can come, you never know if it could come really quickly. So give it a try, and sometimes it takes some days, but it could be fast. How do we get Zotero? Good question. We do have a research guide, but if you just Google Zotero, let me see. There's a landing page with kind of download this. It's an open source software, so it's free, always has been. Zotero.org. And since you asked, I'll put it in chat. Yeah, but there are setup guides in the library research guides, and I can make sure I will add that to that main OOMPh guide. And was there something else to add? I believe that was it. Thank you for sharing those mesh terms with me. So I hope you do continue to use it before going to like Google Scholar, where all you have is the terms that you know. You can actually learn terms and learn about your topic using mesh. And in Embase, any database will have its own controlled vocabulary. So Embase has a very extensive, it's Emtree is their name for it. CINAHL as well. Someone mentioned CINAHL. So yeah, use the controlled vocabularies, in addition to your terms. And yeah, as questions arise this semester, please don't hesitate to contact me. We can meet or email about it. But yeah, searching is a process. So you have to start somewhere, and you're starting with your research question, and the library has your resources. I think I'll leave it there for this evening, but I'll hang on if anyone has questions.